Okay, now that all the cool kids are out of the room, we can actually start talking about the game. Now all the douchebags are dealt with, we can actually start, okay. What is the video game that's right in front of us? And I always struggle. Okay, here he is. Here's the squirrely boy. You know why I call him the squirrely boy? Rawr! And then he runs away again. Oh no, he squirreled away. Scared, ran away from the wolf hog. The wolfy hog. Let's go see if we can find him again real quick. Just, this building up to something. You will know. You will know my name. You'll see why. Here it is, hopefully turning it to night. Fuck this up. Here we go. I'm pretty sure this is it. I can't not. I don't know how you can reasonably sit there and expect me not to do this. Right, squirrely boy! Ah, the little squirrely shopkeeper. And he runs away because I said I was gonna eat him. Ah, yes. Simple pleasures. You know, I don't need a lot in this life. It's the small things. It seems almost shameful after that to be like, yeah, I don't really like this game. But like, I always struggle with like talking about that because I'm sitting here having this whole evangelical screed about everyone who talks shit about this game are fucking assholes. And I'm gonna go, yeah, but I don't really like it. Like, there's a difference between I don't like it and it's bad. This is not a bad game. In fact, I think it's quite good. It accomplishes what it sets out to do. Who lives here? We are the Eskimos. Lots of incest going on. Thanks for the message. A lot of incest, that's what I'm gathering. Like, it's experimenting with a new style of gameplay. Obviously, there are going to be a few hiccups. And I don't begrudge that, but there are hiccups, and I'm like, but you know, it's not like they're unforgivable. It's not like it's unplayable. You know, it's not like this game is like so abysmally terrible or anything. It's just got some trubs. It's got some trubs going for it, you know? Trubs that personally, like, you know, I would rather play the games that don't have these trubs. Right? I feel like that's understandable. Like, I'm never very eager to pop in Sonic 1 on the Genesis, but I don't think Sonic 1 is a bad game. I just don't like it. You know, I respect it for its experimentation and doing something different and setting itself apart and introducing this character. It like really was the thing that helped Sonic, made it so Sonic exploded as a pop cultural icon. It's weird that it says Act 1, but it's a 2. Oh, you know what the reason is? I forgot. That's, the lock. If you see the, maybe if I exit and re-enter the area, it'll show it. if you notice the number of medals, and this is one of the things I don't like about the game, if you notice the number of medals we have, there's a number next to it that's like level 3 and level 2. The more medals you collect, the higher that rank goes, and as you progress through the game, the levels start getting locked off by your medal rank. So if you don't have enough medals, like say if we ran into a level that was slippery sliding. Let's say if we got to a level where it was a level 4 gate, and we've only got a level 3 sun ranking right now, we wouldn't be able to play that level because it's 4 and we only have 3. So we would have to go back to previous levels and hunt for medals so that we could have enough to have a high enough level to play the new levels. And that's really goddamn frustrating. That's like probably the worst part about this game, is it has like a forced replaying aspect to it. Like, how would you describe it? Like, it forces you to replay old levels in order to unlock new levels. And again, like, they're trying to have it so you get your money's worth. They want to extend the playtime. But they do it in a really frustrating way, where it's like you can't continue playing the game unless you go back and replay those old levels and get some new sun medals. Which isn't a problem right now, and honestly, it's not really that difficult to get enough medals just from naturally playing through the game. If you're like, it's the werehog stages that... Yeah, I love this level, actually. The werehog stages make it pretty easy to get as many medals as you need. Damn it. I'll talk about that more later. Like, I don't think Unleashed is a bad game. I think it's a good game. I think it's quite good at what it sets out to do, and I can forgive the, you know, the trips. Like, it trips. Oops. Like, it trips itself up because it's trying something new and it doesn't really... It hasn't really gotten it down for how the levels should be designed with this new style of gameplay. And that's fine. Whoa, Jesus. Oh, yeah. You see, there's just a lot, it's got a lot of bottomless pit syndrome. It really does have the same problems with its gameplay that I feel the original Sonic had. It's trying something new, and in trying something new, it's not like you have a tried and true formula to fall back on and go, okay, this is what you do to make a game like this good, because they haven't made a game like this before, so they don't know how to do it.
Feeling good. Yeah.
So I can forgive that, even though I'm like, well, personally, I would rather play the games that did know what they were doing and were made when they were like, okay, this is how you do the good game now. Like, if I had the choice, I wouldn't volunteer to play the game that was the experiment. I would rather play the game that was the, okay, we got it down, time to make a really good game now, you know? And that's what Unleashed is to me. It's a prototype. In the same way that, yeah, Sonic 1 was a prototype, but again, I would still feel like this game's better than Sonic 1. Yeah. It's the point I'm trying to get to is, I don't like it that much, but it's not a bad game. It's not a bad game, it's just not to my taste. You know? It's like, you have some grape candy. I don't like grape flavor candy. I don't think grape flavor candy is bad. It's just not to my taste. It really is a matter of taste, and there's no... Oh, fuck. That was my fault. Bottomless pits still aren't good, kids. Don't have bottomless pits in your video game. That's not okay to have bottomless pits. The dramatic return of sneezies. It always feels awkward when you feel the urge to say over and over, like, yeah, it's not a bad game. The reason is I'm trying to, like, articulate what I'm trying to say properly. I'm trying to be clear and concise in what I'm trying to communicate. Which is that it's an issue of personal taste. It's not, oh, I don't like this game because it's bad. Shit! See that? Like, that's a bottomless pit. Fuck you. I just want to really go out of my way to clarify that because, and again, I wouldn't feel the need to elaborate on this so much if it wasn't for those shitty people out there. Those shitty goddamn shits. For the reason I'm doing these videos in the first place. Where, like, they just give these games no quarter. And, like, I give lots of quarters. I give plenty of quarters. I have so many quarters for these games. Even if, like, I don't... It's not a first choice entry for me, I still feel that urge to be like, don't be unreasonable about it. I feel like the reasons that I personally don't like this game are reasonable. And I recognize the quality aspect for what they are. And I appreciate them. Again, like, this game does stuff that other Sonic games don't do. It's doing something new and experimenting with a new style of gameplay. And yeah, they didn't knock it out of the park on the very first try. It's fine, right? But there are so many people out there who are just like, no, fuck you, it's not a 10 out of 10. That means it's a fucking 0. You know, they have no countenance for 7 out of 10s. They have no patience, damn it, for anything that would be like average. I feel like, okay, or it's kind of tough, because I'm gonna fall. Fuck! Don't fall and die. This game does some stuff that I don't like, and I'm like, that's really annoying that you did this, and I'm not happy with that. But then it does stuff I do really like, I'm like, that's fucking awesome that you're doing that. So, it's not like...
Yeah, I'm good.
It's one of those things where, like, it kind of... The good and the bad parts balance themselves out to an overall quality experience that is just... For me, I would rather play something else. You know? That's what it comes down to. It's not a game I would voluntarily go back and replay. I'm doing it for these videos, but at least, like, again, Sonic 1 is the same way where I'm like, I don't want to play this, but I gotta do it for the video. But that game, I was like, you know, this game, we haven't... There's very little so far that has frustrated me. We're gonna get to it. Don't you fucking worry. I'm just giving you some preamble. I was giving you some setup first. But, and, like, regardless, that's out of the way, right? I'm done acknowledging that aspect of the discourse around this game, and we can actually just start grading the game. And Pickle is such a weird character. Like, this game does a lot of weird things, also.
Sonic!
Like, there's way more emphasis on the human characters. Which makes sense to a degree that it's like the road trip game where you're traveling around. and meeting all these different people from all these different countries. Oh, and I'll talk about that later. Yeah, he wants us to bring him souvenirs. It's kind of peculiar, and I don't necessarily understand the reasons behind it, but like the Sonic characters are kind of de-emphasized in this game, which is kind of weird because like Tails had his little introduction scene and he introduces us to Professor Pickle, but then he kind of takes a back seat and he's just kind of off screen from now on, driving us around on the turn. Like the idea is supposed to be that he's flying us from location to location on the tornado, and there are hubs later on where the little gate that you go to access the world map, you just see that the tornado is right there. And we had that one cutscene with Amy, but then she gets put on the back burner too, and there's like just way more importance put on all these like Pixar-esque human characters like Professor Pickle. And all these NPCs who, like, we've got side quests associated with, and they don't factor into the main story so much. But they are a big part of, like, this game's priorities. Is having you go around the world and interacting with all these different citizens of all these different countries. And I get that in terms of the thematics of this being like a road trip game. If we want to replay, this is where we go to replay that tornado level, which, again, personally, it's like, oh, it's just Simon Says. I don't know why they ditched the Star Fox style that they had.
Sonic!
So I get it in terms of like the NPCs and all these side quests, but there's like so many less Sonic, like most of the Sonic characters of like the Sonic Adventure era are kind of gone. Like Tails is in this game, and Amy is in this game. Knuckles actually isn't in this game, and I don't complain about that, but it is kind of weird. But Knuckles isn't in this game, which I'm fine with because it's like, hey, maybe he should be guarding the Master Emerald. Right? That's always my thing, is like, why is Knuckles getting involved? He's protecting the Master Emerald right now. And you almost feel like Angel Island probably isn't even being affected by whatever bullshit is going on with the rest of the planet. Like, oh, all the continents are freaking out. Well, Angel Island is already always floating around anyway, so who cares? That's not really his problem. I'm gonna stick with the Master Emerald, even though you would think, considering a big part of this game's plot is revitalizing the Chaos Emeralds and getting them their juice back, you would think the Master Emerald would play a role in that, right? You would think, like, oh shit, why aren't we going and getting the Master Emerald and seeing if that will help or not? You know, at minimum, maybe the Master Emerald would be able to nullify the usage of the Chaos Emeralds that Eggman used to blow up the planet in the first place. No, we're gonna go around to these shrines that are all over the world and have a relation to this dark Gaia that has been retconned in from out of nowhere. It just seems kind of like it's going in this really kind of weird direction that I don't really know how to classify. Like, I get the road trip aspect of it and traveling the world. What I don't get is, I don't know, the story is just fucking weird and seems really unimportant. And the other, like, Sonic cast members just are nowhere to be seen. Cream ain't in this game, Shadow ain't in this game, the Chaotix are nowhere to be seen, and they don't have to be. I'm not saying it's a bad thing that they're not in the game. In fact, many people would probably argue that as a positive. Like, part of it, like, I'm just saying all that to lead to, like, the simplicity. Oh, and the weird experimentation of it seems almost like they're playing it safe. You know, after Sonic 06 was what it was, I don't really see a lot of value in talking about it anymore. I did a video talking about it. It's done. But it does inform decisions made in regards to this game and the public perception of this game when it came out. I do almost feel like certain decisions they made in regards to this game were in response to the fact that Sonic 06, there's the move, wasn't super well regarded and was kind of a massive train wreck disaster. So I almost feel like, to a degree, they wanted to go back to basics with this entry. Where it's just Sonic, and it's just Sonic running around, going on an adventure around the world. And he's fighting Eggman. But it's also doing a fun little twist on the formula of, instead of collecting the Chaos Emeralds, you already have all the Chaos Emeralds, and you're going around to these temples to revitalize them. Like, in terms of... I feel like, to a degree, there was an awareness to what the adventure formula had become. The formula of the adventure games. And they were intentionally... like, they were doing a send-up to that style because they were kind of leaving it behind after this. But by that same token, I feel like they were also going out of their way to subvert those conventions that we had come to expect from the adventure era, the formula of the adventure era games. They were like, okay, this is like what the adventure games would have done. Let's intentionally veer it into the other direction. Instead of having you play as all these other characters in order to have different styles of gameplay, you're just playing as Sonic. But two versions of Sonic with two different kinds of gameplay. Instead of having two different characters for two different styles of gameplay, it's just the one character, but two different styles of gameplay, irregardless. Because it's sending up the adventure formula by having more than one style of gameplay, but it's subverting that formula by having you just play as Sonic for both of those styles of gameplay. I feel like there was a lot of intentional, okay, let's, you know, kind of be aware of the design decisions we've made in the past, and do the opposite. Go the other way with it. It's almost like, while they were making it, they would fall into that, okay, we're making an adventure game, but then they would catch themselves and be like, no, wait, we're gonna do something different. You know, what's that immediate instinct you want to do? Well, I would have you play as another character, because it's a different style of gameplay. Oh, we should go around and collect the Chaos Emeralds. Let's have the primary characters that you interact with be all these other animal critters like Sonic. And they went, okay, instead of going with that immediate instinct, let's intentionally stop ourselves and do the opposite. Collecting all the Chaos Emeralds? No, you start out with all the Chaos Emeralds. And instead you're running around globe-trotting to these other locations for the sake of visiting that location instead of going there to collect something. You're going there because that location has something of importance. That has to do with the Chaos Emeralds, of course. I kinda wish there was a lock on. There we go. Oh no! It was kinda hard to tell because that animation went by super fast, but Sonic jumped into the creature's mouth and down to his belly and beat him up from the inside out. I don't know why the game's gotta keep doing this to me. That's like doing a fucking revival. Anyway. What's your immediate instinct? To have Sonic interact with all these other animal buddies? No, let's have it be all human characters. For the most part. Well, we can't have it just be Sonic. We do have these other characters. Okay, we'll just have it be Tails and throw Amy in there once or twice. And Tails doesn't even really do anything all that important. He's just kind of playing support in this game. Which is still appropriate to his character. Like, I know people who complain about that scene that introduced Tails, where the Dark Gaia were surrounding him, and he was like, and people are like, oh, that's out of character. I'm like, dude, Tails is used to fighting evil robots. Have you seen these things? If you were used, it's like how the Black Arms aliens just came out of fucking nowhere. Like, think of the levels in Shadow that Tails was part of. He was part of one where you're infiltrating Eggman's amusement park, and there are Eggman robots and gun robots. And no aliens. And what's the other one? Oh, we gotta protect the president from the Black Arms aliens. But he doesn't really fight that. He doesn't have that pronounced presence in fighting the Black Arms aliens. He, like, was in 2 levels, and only one of them even had the Black Arms aliens in it. And even then, aliens are another, like, aliens are one thing. That's like sci-fi Monster Mash. These guys are clearly mythical, supernatural Monster Mash. If he was surrounded by Eggman robots, it would have been no big deal. But instead, he was surrounded by creepy, scary demon things that he's never seen or heard of before, or has any experience with. And, like, there's nothing in the game that says... I sort of get the impression that Sonic is the only one who is capable of fighting the Dark Gaia because he is the Werehog. Other characters probably wouldn't even be able to do damage to the Dark Gaia. For revelations that'll happen later, but the Werehog form is due to the same thing that's causing the Dark Gaia to appear all over the place. So he has a connection that allows him to fight them. You know, for all we know, off-screen, before we showed up, Tails was like, oh shit, and tried to fight them, and nothing he did had any effect whatsoever, and he was completely helpless. So he was like, oh, fuck this, I'm gonna run and hide. So the people who complain about that scene and be like, oh, that's out of character for Tails, no, I don't see that. I think it's fine. I mean, immediately afterwards, you have the tornado defense level where Tails is flying around with the tornado, blowing the shit out of, like, an entire fleet of Eggman robots. So, like, shut up. fuck. Oh, no, 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 no. I love that move. I wish the timing of the QTEs was like even 1% more forgiving. If it was just a smidge more forgiving, then I feel like it would be fine. But it's just like a tad, like it's just over the line of being too unforgiving. But yeah, like it feels almost like twofold, kind of like Sonic Heroes, where they both went, let's try something new, and let's, like, go back to basics. You know, people had a negative reception to Sonic 06 for good reason, obviously. I feel like they have to be self-aware about that, right? I mean, when you say what you want, Sonic Team has always been very aware of fan reception and has kept that in mind. I mean, the entire reason they kind of came up with Shadow the Hedgehog the game as an idea was people kept going, oh, we want Sonic to have a gun. Well, we're not going to do that, but we hear you, so we'll give you guys what you want while still staying true to the game. They've always been very aware of fan demand and have been happy to meet it, but in their own way. So after Sonic 06, I feel like it reached a tipping point of a sort where they were like, we don't want to play as Sonic and his woodland friends. That's always a fucking snide remark that you hear from stupid chucklefucks, is Sonic and his woodland friends. It's Sonic. I just want to play as Sonic. Right? So they're like, so after 06, they were probably like, okay, let's pull back. Let's pull back, and okay, here's a game where it's just Sonic. Where you're just playing as Sonic the Hedgehog. But also, we want to have a send-up to the adventure style of games, so we're going to have the Werehog in there for a different style of gameplay, but it's still just Sonic, right? Like, there's so many, like, it's sort of not a cognitive dissonance, but it's like there are a multitude of explanations for the various Crave decisions that went behind the design for these games, you know? Fuck. Where they wanted to intentionally subvert the adventure era design philosophy while paying tribute to it. Where they wanted to give the fan base what they wanted based on their reaction to previous games, while still making the game that they wanted to make. Like, we don't want to just have only Sonic style of gameplay. Like, we want to have some variety. That's the entire point of having those different styles of gameplay in the first place. So they kind of did both at the same time. While also being like, okay, what's our immediate instinct here is to come up with a different character to have this gameplay associated with. Well, let's just have it be Sonic. And so, like, we're paying tribute to the adventure era. Still not a good camera angle to have seen that, but he jumps inside the monster and beats him up from the inside out. Just saying. Well, how it be? You know me. Still the same OG, but I've been low-key. Anyway. So I feel like that's part of it. The part of the reason that it's just Sonic and Tails and Amy and other characters don't show up is because of that. They were reacting to fan demand, and they were intentionally subverting their own natural instincts when it came to the adventure era of Sonic design philosophy.